Across the Earth, there exist structures that no single civilization can explain. They have stood towering for millennia, silent yet commanding, like messages from an era that has vanished from human memory. From the radiant golden sands of Egypt, through the dense jungles of Indonesia, to the vast plains of Sudan and the hidden valleys of China and Mexico, massive stone blocks rise, with a precision that leaves modern humanity in awe. Civilizations, separated by oceans and centuries, all chose the same form, as if responding to a call that no one remembers ever hearing. We call them pyramids, but no one truly knows why they exist. Some say it is a coincidence. Others believe they are evidence of a law far older than history itself, a law that connects every culture on Earth. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned almost perfectly with true north, a sophisticated precision that seems to surpass what ancient tools could achieve. The pyramids at Teotihuacan are aligned with the rising of the Pleiades star cluster, built with astronomical accuracy. In Peru, the stepped pyramids of Caral follow the path of the sun, older even than Egypt's, and built by a people who left no written records. And in China's Shanxi province, it is said that the entire landscape conceals hundreds of pyramids, camouflaged as densely forested hills, their existence quietly omitted from textbooks. Everywhere we look, the same geometry repeats, the same orientation, the same impossible precision. And the unanswered question remains: why did every ancient culture build the same shape with the same accuracy, for reasons we still cannot comprehend? When researchers map the world's pyramids, the results are staggering. Their angles, base ratios, and even their global positions follow patterns too precise to be random. It is as if the entire planet was once part of a single architectural code, a language written not in words, but in geometry. And that raises a question we still cannot answer. Who taught humanity how to build the impossible? Every ancient culture tells the same story. Wise teachers who appeared after a great flood, bringing knowledge of astronomy, agriculture, and the secrets of the stars. The Egyptians called him Thoth. The Maya named him Kukulkan. The people of the Andes knew him as Viracocha. Different names, but the same myth. Beings of knowledge who came from nowhere and vanished just as mysteriously. Join mystery as we step into the world of unsolved mysteries and explore the most ancient remnants of humanity. While Egypt guards its monuments and China buries its secrets under restricted hills, a site in Indonesia may hold something older than anything we have ever discovered. Beneath a seemingly ordinary mountain may lie the remains of the oldest pyramid on Earth. Hidden in the misty highlands of West Java is a place that at first glance appears unremarkable, just a grassy hill rising from the landscape. But the local people have always considered it a sacred place. They call it Gunung Padang, the mountain of enlightenment. For generations, they have believed it to be a place of ancient power, a site built by ancestors who lived before the legendary Great Flood. When Dutch explorers first arrived here in 1914, they noticed something strange. The hill was covered with rows of massive stone blocks, perfectly stacked and arranged into terraces. These stones were not scattered randomly. They were cut, shaped, and carefully placed. For decades, archaeologists assumed it was simply an ancient temple built on top of a natural hill. That theory held for nearly a century. But in the 2010s, everything began to change. A new generation of researchers returned to Gunung Padang, armed with modern technology, determined to find out what truly lay beneath the surface. Using ground-penetrating radar, core drilling, and 3D seismic imaging, scientists began to map the interior of the hill. The results were shocking. Beneath the visible terraces were multiple layers of stone structures, stacked deep below the surface, each layer buried under centuries of soil and volcanic debris. The scans revealed voids that looked like chambers in geometric shapes. Not random cavities, but patterns that appeared to be designed. Layer by layer, the mountain began to look less like a natural formation and more like a man-made structure built in phases. When researchers analyzed the organic material found within these layers, the real shock came. Carbon dating revealed some carbon-14 samples dating back to between 14,000 and 25,000 BC, long before agriculture, cities, or any known civilization. Some uranium-thorium isotope analyses confirmed ages of up to 24,000 to 26,000 BC. For perspective, the Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 4,500 years ago, meaning Gunung Padang could be 5 to 6 times older. It predates even the supposed dawn of human civilization. If these results are accurate, it means humans were quarrying, shaping, and building at this site at a time when most of humanity was still living in small hunter-gatherer groups. Of course, this discovery immediately sparked controversy. Many geologists argued that Gunung Padang is simply a volcanic hill, a product of nature, and that ancient humans later carved the terraces on top. To them, the deeper layers were nothing more than hardened lava flows. But others, including the team leading the excavation, believe the evidence points to a deliberate construction, with layers of stone placed by human hands thousands of years before written history. The debate quickly spread beyond Indonesia, with some scientists dismissing the findings as pseudoscience, while others acknowledged that it would force us to completely rethink human history. Adding to the mystery are the local legends. According to these myths, a great kingdom once existed in the region, ruled by advanced ancestors who possessed knowledge that was later lost. The stories describe a catastrophe, a flood, an upheaval that wiped everything away, leaving only the stones. For the people of West Java, Gunung Padang is not just an archaeological site. It is the last trace of a forgotten world. If the dating is correct, perhaps pyramid building did not begin in Egypt or the Americas. Perhaps it began here, in the heart of Indonesia, before the end of the Ice Age. And as we leave the misty mountains of Indonesia for the scorching sands of Egypt, that question only grows larger. Because if Gunung Padang could be the oldest pyramid on Earth, then what awaits in Egypt represents the perfection of that idea, the place where this mysterious design reached its zenith. Are you ready to follow mystery into this untold secret? As we leave the misty mountains of Indonesia, where Gunung Padang holds mysteries that may predate any known civilization, and turn our gaze westward, the desert of northern Egypt emerges as a timeless tableau. Golden sands stretch endlessly, the wind whispering ancient tales through the dunes. But at the heart of this desert, the 3 great pyramids of Giza rise, silent and perfect, as if they have been waiting for humanity to catch up to an idea sown millennia ago. Among them, the Great Pyramid of Khufu stands out not only for its size, but for its astonishing precision. Its base covers over 13 acres, with each side measuring approximately 7 to 55 feet, with a margin of error of less than half an inch, and its slope of 51.8 degrees encodes mathematical constants like the golden ratio and pi. It is even aligned almost perfectly with true north, a level of accuracy that even modern surveying equipment would admire. According to archaeologists, the pyramid was built around 2560 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, completed in just 20 years. But when we look at each stone block, from those weighing up to 80 tons, placed perfectly into position, we begin to wonder, could this have been achieved with copper chisels, ropes, and manual labor? The mystery deepens as no blueprints, no construction records have survived, making the method of its construction an unanswered question. But the marvel of the pyramids lies not just in their size or precision. The shafts inside are almost perfectly aligned with the stars in Orion's belt. The 3 stars the Egyptians believed would lead the pharaohs to ascend to the heavens. This is no coincidence. According to the research of Dr. Robert Beauval, this connection is a cosmic map carved in stone, elevating the idea of astronomy to the level of architecture. As for its purpose, the question remains open. No mummy has ever been found. The deep chambers are empty, and any signs or burial goods have vanished. Some scholars, like Graham Hancock, argue that the pyramid was not a tomb, but an energy device, an observatory, or monument to preserve knowledge for future generations. The deeper we delve, the stranger things become. Beneath the Giza plateau, radar scans in the 1990s detected tunnels and hollow chambers. Excavations were planned, but were mysteriously halted. Permits were revoked, and the findings were quietly dismissed. This has led many to suspect that Egypt is protecting more than just artifacts. They are protecting answers. Even the Osiris shaft, a deep, water-filled underground chamber, remains largely off-limits to the public. South of Giza, across the border in Sudan, the Nubian pyramids of Meroe tell another part of the story. Smaller and steeper, these structures were clearly inspired by Egypt, but lack its precision. It is as if the blueprint was passed down through generations, its meaning fading with time. The Nubians may have remembered the shape, but they no longer remembered the secret behind it. When you stand before the Giza pyramids, imagine that they are not just tombs of pharaohs, but blueprints encoding mathematics, astronomy, and lost knowledge. A message carved in stone to challenge all assumptions about human history. Beneath this plateau, unexplored chambers remain silent, reminding us that any mystery can extend far beyond the grasp of human imagination. And if Gunung Padang was the birthplace of the pyramid idea, then Giza was its perfection. But the story does not end here, because ahead, the untold secrets of the pyramids of Central America await our discovery. Are you ready to continue this journey through time with mystery? Because while Egypt guards its secrets, another empire on the other side of the world buried its secrets completely. In China, the pyramids are not fenced off. They are hidden under earth and forests, deliberately erased from view. And what lies beneath them could change everything we think we know about who built the first pyramids. The first story emerged in the 1940s, when an American pilot named James Gaussman flew over central China. Below him, on the plains of Shanxi province, appeared a colossal, snow-white shape, gleaming in the sun. He circled it, stunned. It was not a mountain or a regular hill, but a massive and precise geometric form, with an estimated height nearly twice that of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Upon his return, Gaussman reported the finding, but his story immediately vanished into military archives, as if it had never existed. Half a century later, in the 1990s, new satellite technology revealed what Gaussman had seen. Images from Landsat and Google Earth showed dozens of pyramid-shaped mounds scattered around the ancient city of Xi'an. Over 100 pyramids have been identified, many of them covered by forests and farmland, making them almost unrecognizable from the ground. But when their locations were mapped, researchers noticed a familiar pattern. Some of the largest pyramids aligned with the belt of the constellation Orion, just like the pyramids at Giza. However, almost as soon as the excitement began, it vanished. When researchers tried to investigate, the Chinese authorities refused permission. The sites were sealed off, permits were revoked, and official statements declared the structures to be burial mounds of little significance. To this day, the Chinese government maintains that the mounds are protected heritage and forbids excavation, not because of secrets, but for preservation. But what exactly are they preserving? Some of these pyramids are completely covered by forests planted on top of them to hide their contours. When researchers plotted their locations, a familiar pattern emerged. Some of the largest ones aligned with the belt of Orion, the same cosmic design found at Giza, mirrored on the other side of the world. Officially, these are imperial tombs. Unofficially, archaeologists suspect they are far older than the recorded dynasties, perhaps by thousands of years. A stunning clue lies in the nearby tomb of Qin Shi Huang, where ancient texts describe rivers of mercury. When scientists tested the soil around his mausoleum, they discovered that the mercury concentrations were real. Incredibly, similar mercury anomalies have been detected in the soil near other pyramid sites. This suggests a shared construction technique and cosmic symbolism was in use. So why not excavate? The evidence suggests the mounds were deliberately buried. Perhaps the answer is simple. What is inside does not fit the accepted timeline. The discovery of pyramids that could rival or even predate Egypt's would not just change archaeology. It would change the entire story of Chinese history. Such a revelation might be too disruptive to control. The more researchers uncover, the stranger it gets. Yet the official stance remains silent. The Chinese pyramids remain untouched, hidden under forests and farmland. No excavations, no new studies, no answers. Just silence. The biggest question now is, if one of the world's most powerful nations is content to keep its pyramids buried, what happens when another country claims to have found its own? And the entire scientific community calls it a lie. This is where the story of a global pyramid origin really starts to unravel. By the time we get to Bosnia, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Every continent seems to hold a version of the same story. Pyramids that defy explanation, discoveries that are dismissed before they are even investigated, and governments or institutions that want to keep the story neat. Bosnia is no different. In 2005, a Bosnian researcher named Semir Osmanagic noticed a mountain outside the town of Visoko that did not look natural. Its edges were perfectly even, its corners sharp, its peak symmetrical. To him, it looked like a pyramid that had been buried by time. He called it the Pyramid of the Sun and began excavations, igniting one of the most fiery debates in archaeology. Within months, his team had uncovered layers of stone slabs that formed flat terraces, some so precisely placed they looked artificial. Beneath them, a network of tunnels stretched deep underground, connecting several hills that Osmanagic claimed were part of a larger complex. The Pyramid of the Moon, the Pyramid of the Dragon, and several other mounds. Instruments even detected faint, rhythmic electromagnetic and ultrasonic signals at the mountain's peak. To Osmanagic, it was clear that Bosnia was home to the world's largest pyramid complex, built by an advanced civilization that existed long before written history. It was a bold claim, and it was not long before the pushback began. Mainstream archaeologists immediately dismissed the theory. They argued that the hills were natural geological formations shaped by erosion. The stone blocks were simply fractured layers of sandstone, the tunnels, old mining shafts. Scholars called the project pseudo-archaeology, and international experts called on the Bosnian government to shut it down. Within months, the media had turned the discovery into a joke. But even as the criticism grew louder, the local evidence continued to mount. Volunteer teams unearthed paved surfaces, artifacts, and what looked like tool marks on some of the stone slabs. Carbon dating on various samples produced strangely different results, ranging from a few thousand years to tens of thousands of years. To many outside observers, the reaction to Bosnia seemed familiar. The pattern was repeating. Every time a discovery threatens the accepted timeline of civilization, the response is immediate and absolute. Denial, discredit, and dismissal. The Bosnian pyramids joined the ranks of Gunung Padang in Indonesia and the hidden monuments of China sites that ask questions no one seems willing to ask too loudly. The deeper story is not really about whether Bosnia's pyramids are real. It is about how new discoveries are treated when they do not fit the script. Instead of investigation, we get immediate dismissal. Instead of cautious curiosity, we get ridicule. Nearly 2 decades later, the site in Bosnia is still being excavated. Even those who arrive as skeptics often leave uncertain. Perhaps the Visoko hills really are man-made. Or perhaps the Giza pyramids themselves are far older than we have been told. Somewhere between the jungles of Indonesia, the sands of Egypt, and the hills of Bosnia is the true beginning of the pyramid story. A chapter of human history that has not yet been told. If one small valley in Bosnia can cause this much controversy, imagine what happens when we turn our attention to the Americas, where the pyramids are not hidden under hills, but rise above the jungles in staggering numbers. Could civilizations thousands of miles apart really have been connected? Or is this all a mystery greater than anything we have ever imagined? From Mexico to Guatemala and deep into Peru, thousands of these ancient architectural structures still stand, too vast and too common to be covered up. Some are in ruins, others still buried under centuries of vegetation. But together, they form a network so massive that no one can deny it. Here, the mystery is not whether they exist. It is how so many civilizations, separated by time and distance, seem to follow the same plan. In the arid coastal valleys of Peru lies one of the most overlooked wonders on Earth. Long before the pharaohs erected the pyramids of Egypt, the people of Caral built their own. The city of Caral dates back to around 2600 BC, making it one of the oldest urban centers in the Americas. The builders of Caral had no weapons, no fortifications. Instead, they built vast ceremonial complexes. Caral's pyramids seem to have been designed not for power, but for preservation as a way to anchor their knowledge in stone. They were organized, peaceful, and advanced. And then they vanished. Thousands of years later, in the central highlands of Mexico, lies one of the most impressive archaeological sites on Earth, Teotihuacan. When the Aztecs arrived here centuries after it was built, they were so astonished they named it the place where men become gods. But they did not build it. In fact, no one knows who did. The layout of Teotihuacan is almost impossibly precise. The Avenue of the Dead runs in a perfectly straight line, connecting the Pyramid of the Moon to the massive Pyramid of the Sun. The entire city is offset exactly 15.5 degrees from true north, a design believed to synchronize with the cycles of the sun and stars. And then there is the sound. The pyramids of Teotihuacan were designed with extraordinary acoustic precision. Clap your hands near the base of a pyramid, and the echo that returns sounds like the cry of the sacred Quetzal bird. That acoustic effect was not an accident. It was built into the structure. Whoever built Teotihuacan left no writing, no records, no clear trace. The same pattern repeats at El Mirador in Guatemala, deep in the northern jungle. Here stands the La Danta Pyramid, the largest pyramid by volume ever built, containing more material than all three of Giza's pyramids combined. Its builders had no metal tools or beasts of burden, yet somehow moved and stacked millions of limestone blocks with precision. And then, woven into the mythology of every region, are the same stories. The Inca of the Andes, the Maya of Central America, the Aztecs of Mexico, all told of great teachers who appeared after a catastrophe. In Peru, they called him Viracocha. In Central America, he was Quetzalcoatl. Across cultures, the details change, but the story is always the same. Bearded figures who appeared after a great flood, bringing knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and architecture. They taught humanity how to rebuild, and then they disappeared. Are these merely myths? Or are they memories of something real? A civilization older than even the flood stories, one that passed on its knowledge before it vanished? The idea is not as far-fetched as it sounds. If survivors of a global catastrophe spread across the world, carrying fragments of the old world's knowledge, the similarities between the pyramids of Egypt, Indonesia, and the Americas start to make a lot more sense. Standing in Teotihuacan or El Mirador today, the similarities to places like Egypt or Gunung Padang are hard to ignore. The geometry, the alignment with the stars, the precision, it all seems connected. This is not a coincidence. Knowledge like this does not just appear everywhere by chance. It spreads, or it is remembered. What these sites reveal is a global echo of a knowledge that keeps reappearing long after it should have been forgotten. The evidence points to an undeniable truth. Someone, somewhere, taught humanity how to build pyramids. If these pyramids and buried cities truly belong to a forgotten world, how did their builders do it? How did ancient people, supposedly without advanced tools or global communication, construct monuments that still defy explanation today? When you look at the Giza pyramids, the first thing that strikes you is not just the size, but the precision. It is 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons, with some of the largest weighing up to 80 tons. We are told the builders used copper chisels, stone hammers, and ropes. Basic math makes that claim hard to believe. If the pyramid was built in 20 years, a block would have had to be quarried, shaped, transported, and set into place about every 2 minutes, day and night, without stopping for 2 decades. The logistics alone are staggering. Modern experiments trying to replicate this feat have not helped much. Engineers have managed to move small limestone blocks with wooden sleds and ropes. They succeeded, but just barely, on flat ground and at a small scale. Scaling that process up to the full size of the Great Pyramid would require more manpower and coordination than any practical model allows. Furthermore, the joints between the stones are so tight that a piece of paper cannot fit, and they are polished to a mirror-like finish. Even with modern diamond-tipped tools, shaping that much granite with such consistency would take decades. That mystery extends far beyond Egypt. In Lebanon, the ancient site of Baalbek contains some of the largest cut stones ever quarried. 3 rectangular blocks, each weighing around 800 tons. Nearby, a 4th stone still sits in the quarry, estimated to weigh over 1,000 tons. To this day, no one has moved an object that large with ancient technology. Then there is Puma Punku in Bolivia, where megalithic blocks fit together like machine parts. Each one is carved with perfect right angles, interlocking grooves, and holes drilled to within fractions of an inch of alignment. Some of the cuts are so precise that engineers say they would require diamond tools or CNC-level machinery to replicate today. Everywhere we look, the same question arises. How did ancient builders move, cut, and position stones weighing hundreds of tons with tools that should not have been able to scratch them? And more importantly, why build with such massive blocks in the first place? Some researchers have proposed explanations that go beyond conventional physics. Ancient texts often describe sound and vibration as tools of creation. Could sound have been literally used to levitate or manipulate heavy objects through resonance? It is speculative. But so is assuming that copper chisels and ropes can explain all of this. At a certain point, the idea that ancient builders simply worked harder is no longer enough. When the same technical precision appears across civilizations with no known connection, coincidence does not explain it. Whatever the answer is, the evidence is clear. These structures were not built by chance. Every perfect cut and flawless alignment points to an understanding of engineering that is far beyond what history credits them for. If the ancient builders understood engineering far beyond what we can explain, the next question is, why? What purpose did all this precision serve? The more we measure, the clearer it becomes that these structures are not random architectural feats. They were built according to the same set of rules, the same numbers, the same cosmic blueprint, repeated across continents and centuries. No matter where you look, Egypt, Mexico, Peru, or even Indonesia, the same constants keep showing up. The slope of the Great Pyramid is 51.8 degrees, a measurement that encodes both the golden ratio and pi. Those same proportions appear in pyramids thousands of miles away, designed by civilizations that supposedly never met. When you add it all up, it starts to look less like a coincidence and more like a design. These structures were not just built to impress, they were built to communicate. In ancient cultures, certain numbers appear over and over. 72, 108, 216, 432. Modern astronomy gives them context. 72 years marks 1 degree of the precession of Earth's axis, the slow wobble of the planet's rotation. Multiply that number by 360, and you get about 25,920 years. A full precessional cycle, often described in ancient myths as a cosmic age. These are not random choices. They are data points, mathematical fingerprints left in the architecture, encoded in the only medium guaranteed to last: stone. The same is true of their alignment. Many pyramids are aligned not just with the cardinal directions, but with specific stars. The constellation Orion, the star Sirius, the Pleiades cluster, taken together. These designs seem to form a kind of map, one that connects the heavens and the earth into a single system. The builders clearly understood geometry as more than just math. To them, it was a universal language, a way to preserve knowledge through form. When the data is lined up, the message becomes hard to ignore. The pyramids were never just tombs or temples. They were records, built to survive catastrophe and time. It is a form of communication that does not rely on language, but on constants, geometry, and alignments that hold true anywhere in the universe. The flood myths from every culture speak of a world wiped clean and rebuilt. If those stories are true, perhaps the pyramids were left as blueprints from a former age, an archive of knowledge meant to help the next civilization start over. Even today, as we scan them with modern tools, we are still finding hidden chambers, thermal anomalies, and electromagnetic fields that no one can fully explain. The more advanced our tools become, the more the pyramids seem to reveal. It is as if they were designed to keep teaching long after their builders were gone. And maybe, just maybe, that is the picture history is trying to tell us. As we connect the pieces of these ancient builders, measure every angle, recognize the sophisticated geometry, a message begins to emerge. We are not just exploring the past. We are decoding a story carved in stone, a language of geometry that transcends time, a memory humanity thought it had lost. Across the globe, new technology is exposing the extent to which we have barely scratched the surface of the past. LiDAR, radar, and satellite imaging are revealing that the monuments we have already found, from Gunung Padang to Giza to Teotihuacan, may be just a fraction of what truly exists. What once looked like untouched wilderness is now showing signs of deliberate design, buried under centuries of mud, jungle, sand, and ice. In South America, the Amazon rainforest is rewriting history. For decades, the idea that a major civilization once thrived there was dismissed as impossible. But as LiDAR scanners peel back the jungle canopy, the truth is unavoidable. Geometric grids, perfect squares, long causeways, and terraced pyramid-shaped mounds stretch across the landscape. What looked like an uninterrupted jungle turns out to be a network of forgotten cities. Farther north, in Guatemala and southern Mexico, the same technology has exposed hundreds of thousands of hidden structures. Roads, canals, and pyramids, forming a web that connected once isolated Maya cities into a single, vast civilization. When you step back, a clear picture begins to form. Our planet is not a blank map dotted with a few wonders. It is covered in them. Floods, earthquakes, and sandstorms simply hit the reset button. Each catastrophe did not erase civilization, it buried it. The deeper we look, the clearer one thing becomes. Our planet is far more built up than we ever imagined. And this is where things start to change. Thanks to new technology, the ground beneath our feet is giving up its secrets. Discoveries are no longer dependent on government permits or massive academic digs. Independent researchers, armed with drones, radar scanners, and open-source satellite data, are doing in days what once took decades, and they are finding things no one expected. In Saudi Arabia, satellite images have exposed thousands of mysterious stone structures. In the deserts of Peru, radar has revealed straight lines and buried foundations beneath the Nazca Plateau. Every month, new scans reveal more anomalies, perfect geometric shapes, straight lines, and massive voids beneath the surface, suggesting entire cities still lie buried. This is no longer a slow, academic process. It is happening in real time. And every new discovery points to the same undeniable pattern. The story of civilization is older, deeper, and far more connected than we have ever been told. So, what have we truly learned from all of this? Ancient civilizations were not just advanced, they were impossibly precise, coordinated on a level more sophisticated than anything history records. When they understood engineering, mathematics, and astronomy at this level, we can no longer simply call the pyramids or temples ordinary tombs or religious structures. We must look deeper into the patterns, the alignments, the geometry, and the ratios they inscribed in stone. Because whatever message these builders left behind, they wanted it to last forever, to transcend time. Across continents, the same mathematical code appears. The golden ratio, pi, the alignment with Orion's belt, true north. These structures are not discrete creations. They are a part of a larger plan, a message for a future humanity, preserved in stone for anyone sensitive enough to read it. The flood myths from every culture tell of a world wiped clean and reborn. If those stories are true, perhaps the pyramids are the blueprints from a former age, an archive of knowledge to help the next civilization start over. Even today, when we scan them with modern technology, we are still finding hidden chambers, thermal anomalies, and electromagnetic fields that science cannot yet explain. The more advanced our tools become, the more the pyramids seem to open up, as if they were made to teach across millennia. So, what do you think? Are these structures the result of humanity's shared creativity? Or are they the surviving traces of a much older civilization? Share the knowledge you have in the comments below, so more people can learn. If you want to continue this journey, to explore deeper mysteries, click on the video on your screen to watch the full investigation into who really built the pyramids. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mystery Channel and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any secrets of the past. Together, we will continue to decode the unsolved. See you in the next video.